hope you're well. I'm back with another book review for you, and this time it's a series rather than just the one book. It's the Immortal Beloved series by Cate Tiernan. So Immortal Beloved is the very first book. That's the cover there. I really like the cover of this one. It's really, really cool. So that's the cover of the first one. Now the second two do change the design in covers, which is a bit of a shame because I quite liked the cover of that one. So the second book in the series is, so I've got a shiny cover on there, is Darkness Falls. As you see, it's got just the blue eyelashes, so that's very different from that cover there. And then the third in the series is Eternally Yours. So that cover reflects the darkness falls of the eye. So yeah, there's the eye there. But again, they're totally different to the first one. So there they are all together. So I read you the back or the blurb of the first book, but I won't read you the back of the second two because I'm going to try not to do any spoilers. I'm usually quite good at not doing any spoilers, but I find it hard sometimes because I want to tell you and get behind the book and sort of why I don't like it, but then also I want to kind of leave some of the enjoyment and the intrigue and the mystique for you as well. So I'll try and not do any spoilers. So here's the blurb on the first book. After some of the events I've witnessed, I felt like I was a shell with nothing alive left in me. I hadn't been going around killing people, but people were hurt. The memories just kept trickling in like rivulets of fresh and dripping into my brain until I wanted to scream. It was in my blood. I knew. A darkness, the darkness. I had inherited it along with my immortality and my black eyes. So, yeah, the first in the series was, for me, the best book. I found it really gripping and I couldn't put it down. It was really interesting to read a book about immortals rather than vampires. So, you know, just because there are a lot of vampire books out there. But yeah, so I really enjoyed reading just about immortals and kind of the life of an immortal. And, you know, with an immortal, she has lived 459 years, which is quite a long time. So in that time, she has seen a lot of things, done a lot of things, you know, seen utter poverty right through to present time where she's quite rich because over the time she's invested money. So she kind of, in her 459 years, she has done a lot of things, been a lot of things, and she's kind of carried the weight of that with her. So, you know, kind of like a lot of sorrow, because obviously you build relationships with people around you, and you know, some of those people might not necessarily be immortal, so you have to deal with and grieve for the loss of those people. And you know, in 459 years, that's quite a long time. But also because she doesn't age, she looks like she's 459 years old, but she looks like she can pass from anywhere between 17 and 21 years old. She has to kind of keep reinventing herself and moving on and coming up with a different, you know, name and persona and identity. So so all of those things kind of build up inside of her. You know, the paths that she's seen, being through the poverty, then being really spoilt with lots of riches, being different people. It's all kind of built up inside of her, and she's quite troubled because of that. And then there's a few events that happen in the book, and she meets a group of other immortals that she goes to live with, and she kind of changes her view and her outlook on the world. So we kind of get to see that. And so the first one was really, really gripping, really, really gripping. And I really, really enjoyed it. The second one I didn't like the very beginning of the book, probably about a third of the book, because I'd read the first book and the second book spent sort of like the third of the book. I felt like it was kind of recapping the first book, which is fine if you... I mean, I always, if there's a second in a series, I always read. And it does say on the cover there, it is book 2. So if it's book 2, I always read book 1. So I don't really feel like I need a recap. And if it's been a long time, say for example, the first book came out and then 2 years later the second book came out, I will tend to go back and reread the first book again before I read the second book. So when I was reading the second book, I was kind of like, yeah, well, I know all this stuff because it was in the first book. So I didn't like that, but kind of by that point I was really invested. The girl's name in this is called Nastasia, not really sure how you pronounce it. So by that point I was really I was hooked with her, and I really wanted to know what happens with her and how, and if she turns her life around, or or if she kind of changes the way she is, or other things. So I'm really trying hard not to do any spoilers, because there are quite a few other interesting elements in the book as well that I wasn't expecting. Can I say? No, I'm not going to say. But there is some really interesting, But I'm sorry, I'm trying really hard not to give any spoilers. But so yeah, there's kind of a bit of drama, a bit of mystery, all tiled in. So that's quite interesting. And then we got book 3. I'm not sure, because book 1 was the best, and I feel like I was really, really into the story, and I was really, really into Nastasia and what happened with her. But there are elements of the third book I thought were a little bit not far-fetched, because it's all fantasy, but I don't know. Sometimes when you're like, oh, okay, that was a bit odd. There were elements of that. But that being said, I really, really, really enjoyed this series, and it didn't take me that long at all to read all 3 books, because I did find it really, really gripping. I did feel that maybe if you took out some of the recap bits from the second and third book, there could have just been one big book, because that's the size of the 3 books together. But if you took out all the recap stuff on the second and third book, it wouldn't. You'd probably only end up with a book that big. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the writing style. It was almost like, it wasn't a diary, but it was like a memoir. She was basically, it was written from the character's perspective, and she was saying, I did this, I did that, and that was really good. So she was basically telling her story, which I really liked, but it wasn't in a diary form, because I find diary forms a little bit irritating sometimes. So it was just like, chapter story, but from her perspective, which I really enjoyed. And it was really quite like the terminology and the language she used was really quite modern, present day as well. Which sometimes it read as though a teenager had written it in some ways, but in other ways you could tell it was an adult that had written it, because it was, it's really bad. It was really well written, but there were kind of some slang bits in as well, see what I mean? But the way it was written made it really easy to read, like almost conversational. It was like listening to someone, almost like listening to someone speak and tell you their story. So I hope that makes sense. So from that bit was quite interesting. And I thought at first that it was going to be quite dark, but it wasn't. It was quite a light story. and not really very dark at all. I mean, there were some dark elements, but nothing really majorly dark. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this series, and I would recommend it. Definitely recommend it. I really enjoyed it. Thoroughly good read. But I'd like to know what you think too. Like, if you've read this book, if you read this series, let me know what you think. Because I'm not in a book group, and I would just really love to discuss the books with people who've also read them and know what you think. I never watch other people's reviews before I do my own. I always do my own reviews first, and then I go and I watch someone else's review of the book, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't see that, or oh yeah, I didn't think of it like that. So yeah, I find that really interesting. But anyway, there we go. That's the Immortal. There we go. Ooh, the Immortal Beloved series review for you. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.